Hey everyone, it's Angela
and Brittany
from Divas in Wonderland.
And today we are going to give you 5 tips for bringing your kids to Disney World. So tip number 1 happens before you even get to the park, and that is making sure you prepare your kids for when you're going to Disney. So there are a couple ways you can do this. My top way is a countdown calendar. And basically you can just make a calendar and you could have all the dates on there and you could cross off each day until you get to the day. For younger children, something you might try is using like a paper chain and cutting off each piece of the chain so the children can visually see that you're getting closer and closer to that day. And then one other idea you could use is filling a jar. So you could have like a pebble jar and you either take away a pebble every day or you add a pebble every day. For the adding one, you would want to make sure that the jar is pretty much going to be full by the time, but taking away, you could take away till it's empty. So that's just one way you can prepare your kids ahead of time for going to Disney World so they have an understanding of when it's happening. And that also helps deter them from asking every day, when are we going? Are we going today? Mom, when are we going?
That's a good point. They can just look at the calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's tip number 1.
Okay, so a fun thing that you can do to prepare your kids for the park is a touring plan that actually gets them involved. Mm-hmm. So the way that I've set this up is you set up a letter that's written from Mickey to your kids, and it comes along with a riddle. And as the kids solve each riddle, they find out what order ride they're going to go on. So riders show that they're going to do next. And so that's a really fun way, especially for your older kids. You can combine it with a map, and then they take some ownership of the trip. Mm-hmm. Get really excited, get really involved, and to them they think, hey, we got this letter and this specific touring plan from Mickey Mouse, and we're going to follow it as we go through the park. So that's a really fun way to get your kids involved for the trip. Get them excited for it, could help them anticipate, and then it also spills over into your touring plan for the day, which is our second tip for bringing kids to the park. Every time I hear someone say that they really dislike Disney or they didn't have a good time at Disney, it's because they didn't show up with a plan. Some people like to go on vacation, they don't like the plan, they just want to show up and try to have a good time. At Disney, you've got to be prepared. So that touring plan riddle that I just talked about, that is a great way to get your kids involved. But there are lots of touring plans that you can find online in order to plan out your day, plan when you're going to have dinner, plan when you're going to have lunch, so that you don't end up with low blood sugar and kids melting down. You always want to have a plan when you go to Disney. So we'll put some links in the description on some common touring plans. In the future, we'll post the kid touring plan.
Like she was saying, that's a great way to get kids involved. It's also a way that will deter some like behavior moments, because instead of them throwing a fit because they can't go on whatever ride or getting upset because they don't have an understanding of when the next thing is coming, this really helps give them a better chance to have a good attitude and to go along with something that is already a big change in their routine. And I would even add for like even really young children, they're not going to be able to follow necessarily all the steps, but you can still have them cross something off. They might not know what they're doing, but just the idea that they are crossing something off or they're taking something off or sticking a picture is another good way to help them be engaged and be involved. And that takes us to tip number 3, which is bring things for your kids to do. Okay, now that seems so simple, but specifically I'm talking about things that will keep your kids engaged, okay? So you want to think about things that will help your child to wait better in line, to deal with transitions, and to also help them feel comfortable. So I'm talking about things like sensory toys. You might bring like little sensory bottles. If you Google that or look on Pinterest, there's tons of ideas.
Yeah, and we can drop some of those in the subscription.
Yeah, we'll drop some links to some ideas. You could bring like stretchy toys. You can often find those even just at Dollar Tree. They're like the stretchy, wiggly toys. You might also want to consider for children that are very young, bringing like a lovey. Don't think, okay, for Disney, we're going to leave the lovey at home. Take the lovey so that they're comfortable. If your child doesn't have something like that, you might also think about purchasing just like a small plush for your child during the trip, so they have something that they're excited about that they can hold on to, maybe like a little Mickey or a little Pooh Bear that they can carry around. And that's a way to feel safe, to have something to hold on to and something to play with, to keep them engaged, to keep them, you know, more calm. And also it can become a play toy while they're waiting on all of the lines or waiting for a show or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I'd add 2 things to that in terms of things for your kids to do in the parks. So if you've got older kids that can read and that can follow through books, I would bring one of those Disney facts books with you, or the books that have the maps in them, because your kids can participate in navigating through the parks. And older kids really find that really fun. The other interactive thing that you can do with older kids is the Disney Play app that they just released. There's interactive trivia. When you go on rides, they've added some things in Space Mountain, in particular, like little mini games inside the rides that for your kids who like to use technology, they can use technology in the parks in a way that's really interactive and fun for the whole family.
Yeah, definitely.
Tip number 4 is going to be to bring snacks with you. A lot of people don't realize that you can bring food into the Disney parks. So I'd say a great way to continue to keep your kids engaged during the day, decrease those moments that kids tend to have in the parks where they're melting down, is to keep their blood sugar stable. So bring some of their favorite snacks that they can eat while they're waiting in line, they can eat while they're riding in a stroller, and keep them satiated and more engaged so that they can enjoy the parks.
And just to add to that, good snacks, or especially like crunchy snacks, are really good because it's a good sensory experience for children, especially in a place like Disney that can be very overstimulating. The crunchiness kind of gets out some of those sensory needs. And even for children who don't have sensory needs, they're in a new place, they're going to be experiencing things to a whole different level. So even if they don't show that, it's a good idea to have things like crackers or, you know, goldfish, that kind of crunchy snack, pretzels. If you don't want to have something like that, like you're gluten-free, then, you know, pack a small pack of like celery or something, or they even sell like those little carrot things. And yeah, you might have to keep it cool, but just, you know, maybe just have like one for the morning time, and then choose in the afternoon. You could have something like banana chips or something like that if you don't want to go the way of all those carbs, or if your child's gluten-free. So, and that brings us to number 5, which is take breaks at Disney. So, yeah, I know. I think people kind of get wrapped up in this, we gotta go. I've paid lots of money for this trip, so I'm getting all my money's worth. But especially when you are bringing children, you really want to make sure you're building in break opportunities, and even just being mindful of when a child might need a spontaneous break. So that could be staying in the park. That could mean leaving the park for a little bit. That could mean just, instead of going straight to your next ride, just sitting down for 5 minutes, getting some water, whatever it is. It's really important to pace yourself and make sure you're mindful that this is a faster pace. Your child's not just going to be able to all of a sudden go from dawn to dusk without any breaks. Just make sure that you are aware of that and that you are willing to take those breaks, because those really make a difference and will help your child be able to enjoy Disney along with you.
We commonly say, oh, the witching hour for kids sleep like at night is between like 2 and 5 in the morning. And I say it's the same thing for Disney, between 2 and 5 p.m. You often see kids having meltdowns, and it's because their families haven't taken breaks. We don't always know the reasons, but we're just saying that a great way to care for your kids and ensure that everyone has a good time at the parks is to take a break. And we're going to actually do a video coming up about great ways to take breaks, both in the parks, on property, resort hopping. We've got lots of ideas to help you think through what it'll look like to take breaks, and not in a way that you won't feel like you're missing out.
Right. Absolutely.
So we've got a couple honorable mentions here. The top one being, make sure to bring a stroller.
Yeah.
People show up to Disney and kind of overestimate what their kids can do, especially for 6 and 7-year-olds. If you've got a petite 7 or 8-year-old, you can even still bring that stroller with you, because kids aren't used to walking 5 miles in a day. And for them to be able to just take a break, get in the shade, pull that hammock, the top of the, what do they call that?
Canopy.
Pull the canopy on the stroller down and kind of cut out some of that sensory stimulation and snack on that snack that we talked about. You packing can be really great to help kids in the parks.
Absolutely. So you don't want to forget to bring that stroller with you, because little legs get tired.
They do. Our big legs can go a lot faster.
Get tired too.
Okay, so and then our last honorable mention item is the soft-sided coolers. A lot of companies are making those in backpack form now that have an external pocket that you can drop other things like your keys or your wallet or your phone into. But bring that soft-sided cooler. You can keep the snacks that like cheese sticks or drinks cooler during the day, especially if you've got a kid that's still on formula or you've got medicine that you got to take with you into the parks and need to keep cool. So check those out. I'm going to drop a picture right here.
My last honorable mention is...
yes, one more.
If you're going with young children, even up to like 3, be mindful of the baby care centers in all of the parks. So all of the parks have a baby care center. Not everyone knows about this, but if you get to the park, you don't know where it is, you can always ask a cast member, or you can look it up ahead of time. All of the maps will have it marked on the map, baby care center. These are quiet places that are air conditioned. They have microwaves, so if you need to microwave something for a child to eat or heat up some formula, if you need to breastfeed in a quiet, like more private area, that's an option. And there's also like changing tables, so it's just a nice place, cool, dark place to kind of reset or do your feeding or whatever you need to do. So
yeah, that's a great tip. So thank you for joining us. Divas in Wonderland, our tips for bringing kids to the parks. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like.